All right, hey everybody. I'm hoping that you're all doing great. I have someone very, very special tonight on the show with me. I have Digonto. Digonto has been a mentee, and I have been absolutely, absolutely fortunate to be a part of his journey. So he was part of the Postcat Prep GDPI program. Digonto, welcome. How are you doing? And coming live from France, how does it feel?
It feels great, sir. I'm doing very well. Good to see you after so many days. I mean, live over a call. I think the last time we were over a call, we were preparing for our mock interviews back then.
That's
So
right.
it's great to see you, sir.
Digonto, very, very important. So the agenda for tonight is the fact that approximately 20 days left. A lot of people appearing for CAT are wanting to know what is it that they should do. And coming from you, a 99.83 percentiler, IIM Ahmedabad, I think anything that you can share, some inputs that you can share, I believe will be very, very beneficial. So, Digonto, if you could brief a little bit about your, CAT preparation journey, and then if you could add a few pointers then to the preparation of so many people who will be listening to this.
Sir, I'll start off with the fact that this year, the year that I appeared, that is the a couple of years back, that time I had 99.8 plus, but that was my second attempt. My first attempt was way back in my UG, that was in 2020, 2019, 2020. That is when I had appeared for the CAT and I had zero preparation. I had given, I think, two and a half mocks and just touched quant a little bit, and I had scored 97 percentile then, and I got sloshed in one particular section, which was QA. I mean, that is little counterintuitive, as they say, for engineers, but that is what happened with me. And hence, the second attempt that I took while I was working, after graduation from Jadavpur University, I was working for a couple of years first with a startup, and then I moved to Accenture Strategy. So while I was working there, that is when I decided to start my preparation, because I knew that if I could fill those gaps, I could make the journey from a 97 to a 99 plus. I wasn't expecting a 99.8 plus, but I was looking at a 99 plus. My preparation journey started around 6 months before the CAT exam. It started around May. I was terrified of QA, as that was the one which had got me the last time. So that is where I started off with. And QA has a very comprehensive syllabus that you can exhaust. There is a known structure and syllabus. LRDI and VRC to that extent are a little uncertain in terms of the scope and horizon in which the questions can come from. So that is where I put my focus in. Another factor is most CAT exams or most MBA entrance exams are quant heavy. So it's always good to have your quant as a strong foundation. At least that is how I looked at it. Coming, and then I did a few months of revision, a few months of getting the basic foundation ready. By August, I started the All India Test Series, which most of these institutes publish. And then by October and November, that is this phase, the 20 days to CAT exam phase, is when I was only focusing on two things. One is being able to sit through an exam for 2 hours and give and put in the concentration throughout the 2 hours that is needed. So my frequency of mocks, at least for the first 2 weeks of November, for the first 2 weeks to the last 20-25 days, was one mock every 2 to 3 days, and the remaining time just analyzing the mistakes that I'm doing. The idea was I had my slot early in the morning at 8 a.m. and I used to give my mock exams after work late in the night from 12. I wanted to get used to giving the exam at 8 a.m. in the morning. So every in mock exam that I gave was from the 8 to 10 slot, so that I was accustomed in terms of having my brain trained to work at that hour, which I wasn't, because I wasn't a very early riser, so to say, and my office kicked in late. So that was the first thing. The second thing was, while I was giving mocks, at this stage, I don't feel it is very important to give too much importance to the percentile that is coming at this stage. And that is for three reasons. Towards the end of the test series that most prominent coaching institutes provide, the mocks there start becoming experimental. They start making experimental mocks so that students are prepared for surprises. As a result, what happened is, at least the time I was preparing, that is what they were doing. And so what happened is, some of the mocks I really didn't do well in one section. And at this stage, losing your confidence is very difficult. So one thing that I was doing is, while I was giving the mocks, I was also parallelly in a week at least attempting one original CAT paper, starting back from the most recent year. The idea was the mock tests are a mock of the actual CAT exam, but the actual CAT exam is always a little different in terms of the difficulty, and hence being accustomed to the type of questions, the type of RCs that came in actual CAT over the past 5 years, along with my mock exams, sort of served me well. And I'll keep it brief. After the mock exam period was done for the first 2 weeks of the remaining 20 odd days, the last week was simply about two things. One is I had given a couple of sectionals just to stay in touch with LRDI because I felt I needed to keep solving LRDI to sort of stay in touch with it. I had stopped with quant, I had stopped with WAC. The second thing that I was focusing on during this period was looking back at the previous mock exams, especially with quant in mind, and looking at the questions that I was getting wrong. My idea was I would open the test series portal and I would just look at the quant sets and I was look at the questions that I attempted and got wrong and the questions that I could not attempt. And I was looking at ways I could perhaps attempt it just so that in case a question comes there from one of these mocks in quant only, I could pick it up. So
Got
that is a very brief overview of how I went about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think Digonto, that was very crisp, coming from somebody who is part of the consulting club. To keep it very crisp and structured is something that you are absolutely very very good at. So Digonto, in the last 20 days, beyond the kind of preparation plan that you have shared, how did you manage your motivation? Because you get bad scores, you get demotivated also. It's very different, it's very difficult to actually stay aloof of the fact that you are not getting some of the good scores, right? So what was your thought process at that point in time?
So there are two things mainly, sir. One is in one of the, I still remember in one of the sectionals for one of the last entrance exams, I mean, mock exams that I was giving for these coaching institutes. In one of the papers in LRD, I ended up with a 60 percentile. It was maybe 1 week before the CAT exam. And I got scared. And then I analyzed it and I realized, okay, this is where it went wrong. But then the fear was still there. It can again go wrong. If it has happened 1 week before CAT, it can happen on the day as well. So one psychological thing that I would do is I would never end with a bad outcome. So I would at least take one more sectional and I'd make sure I get a decent score in that. And then once I've got a decent score, I'd leave it and not attempt anymore because that is the last sectional I want to take to my exam from a psychological point of view. So that is, I think, one thing. The second thing was for motivation. As I said, I was solving previous year CAT papers and I would get the scores. And although you shouldn't be looking at percentiles and comparing, I'd look at the score and I'd look at what percentile it was fetching that year. And because of the preparation that most students have gone through now, and once serious students start giving the CAT papers now, the scores are going to be motivating for them. Maybe one or two odd CAT papers may not go that well, but on an aggregate, it would be motivating for them. And that added as another motivating factor. The last part was it had been a long journey for me. It had been about 6 months of CAT prep starting in May. So I was just waiting for it to get done. So I was counting days ki, "Okay, this is the day it gets done, and this is the day I watch my favorite show after that."
That is
So,
so amazing. In fact, I was also, while I was preparing, I was really looking forward to all the movies that I had not watched. Being a movie buff, I was really waiting for that day to happen, and then in fact the same day I went. I did not watch some really amazing movies. I had to watch Prem Ratan Dhan Payo. Okay, so I think that's really helpful, Digonto. Digonto, I'm hoping that the GDPI preparation journey at postcat prep was also useful, has been useful at IIM Ahmedabad as well.
yes, sir. So they were useful in two ways. One is, of course, having the opportunity to prepare mock interviews with you and the other mentors, and also the cohort and peers who were there with us, because we would often do mock interviews among ourselves as well. So that is something that I think was really helpful. Second of all, I think some of the institutes had a little specific type of round. For example, SPJ has a group interview of sorts. And that was one of the earliest mock interviews that Postgrad Prep had organized. So again, that was a little useful to go into it, knowing that this is how much you're supposed to speak, this is what you're supposed to do. That context helped a bit. And lastly, I think one of the most useful resources that we got from this was the IIMs itself, because the mentors who took our interviews, when I went into IIM Ahmedabad, I could meet them personally. And even before going to IIM Ahmedabad, I knew them. I think there was Shoptik and there were others, and we all
Yeah, in fact, I
connected. And
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, so I think that was also something that was helpful, because it helps if you know someone within the college before you go in who you can talk to understand how and what mindset you need to take to the college.
No, absolutely. In fact, I recently did a live session also with Soptik, wherein Soptik also shared some of his key pointers, and that was really, really amazing. Digonto, very, very nice. Finally, some key parting thoughts.
Personally, I think I'll draw inspiration from my own story. Personally, the CAT journey for me has been long. It started in the final year of my college when I had given my first attempt, and I didn't do that well. And that too, I didn't do well in a section that I'm supposed to do well. So one thing I've realized looking back at a lot of things, and hopefully I'll carry this forward, is things may not go your way at certain instances. You just need to continue along. This season, CAT is just kicking off the set of entrance exams for various colleges that take place. And in today's market, a lot of colleges, apart from the colleges in CAT, are also doing very well in terms of the academic outcomes and the outcomes from MBA. So it is very important that most students carry the right attitude towards CAT. And once it's done, they carry it forward to the other exams. You never know how things will pan out. It might be this year, it might be the next year. So it is very important to put in your 100% effort at every stage. The second thing I believe is, at the end of the day, there is some amount of luck or whatever you may call it when giving such competitive exams where so many students are competing, and even a single MCQ can push you back so many ranks. What one can do is carry a very positive, calm mindset and the confidence of their preparation to ensure that even on their worst day, the deviation caused due to luck is not that bad as it would have been without preparation or without the right mindset. And the third thing is something that a professor here at IIM Ahmedabad had told us, and I really liked it. And he said, always take in the confidence that if you cannot do it, nobody else can do it. So if it's a question, if it's a situation, you feel it's hard for everyone else. So just carry that along. If not you, then who?
Absolutely. That's so amazing, Digonto. Very well put. Thank you so much for joining us today. You were in France, different time zones, and still you managed time. It's so amazing, so lovely. Lots of love. Happy Diwali in advance, and catch you up very soon.
Sure, sir. Same to you. Thank you.
God bless. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.